For fans wanting more than just the score, Warhawk Report dives deeper into ULM athletics with expert analysis, recruiting updates, behind-the-scenes access, and real-time updates. Whether you are a die-hard fan or just curious about the Warhawks, we've got you covered. Subscribe today at warhawkreport.com. Smart coverage, real insights, all Warhawks. warhawkreport.com.
Doesn't matter if you're an Indian or if you're a Warhawk.
The ULM mention is the greatest. You'd hope for the best as a ULM fan, but
this is the Bleav in the Warhawks podcast with hosts Dusty Thibodeaux and Chase Regian.
Chase, you always have such great insight.
Tibbs is going to bleep it all.
What are these guys always talking about?
We talk a lot about food on this podcast, and I'm going to continue to do so.
Really, really appreciative of the people and the community and the way that they've backed us up.
Nailed the introduction, by the way. Awesome.
Thanks,
I love
Fish.
it. Chase, always good to see you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that you were not washed away in Myrtle Beach.
Josh McGee did a great job on the sideline for two things, Tibbs, okay? Handling that weather and then also getting just reamed by a coach, if you heard it. Live on the radio broadcast. That was it's a tough ask for the kid in his second or third game on the sidelines. Good for him, man. Proud of him.
I was in line with him at the airport when we were going through a more thorough TSA search than probably they do for prison. And he's sitting there just kind of like jittery, shaking. He's like, my pants are still wet, man. My pants are still wet. I was like, dude, go change.
Yeah, go. Why didn't you bring? That's like rule number 2, I think. Bring a rain jacket's rule number 1. Bring a change of clothes, rule number 2.
Are you ready for my unintended souvenir from this trip there, Chase?
Tell me you stole something good.
I have a game-used Hilton bath towel because I knew it was going to be raining and I didn't know if I would need a towel post-game.
Why can't you ever say good shit on this podcast?
Like what?
Why does it have to be bath towels from the Hilton, not a football, or I stole a helmet, or I got one of their cool jerseys? You got a bath towel.
I mean, look, we saw the kid that one time on the sideline chase that dude down for a helmet. If I get it, I'm staying away from equipment managers, man. They're a different breed.
Chase, I'm functional, all right? I needed a towel. I took a towel.
Whatever, dude. Towels on sidelines. Figure it out. Do cool shit.
You're killing the vibe already, Chase.
I'm good at that, huh? I'm not a good yes and guy. I'll need to take an impromptu class or not impromptu. What's it? Improv class.
Listen, I'll give it to you this. At least, does it say Hilton on it? Does it have like the lettering on it, like the H in the circle?
I don't. It's still packed in my bag. I hadn't even pulled it out.
It's fine. It's still got the water on it. It's still in game condition. I love that.
Game used water.
That's
yeah,
right.
you don't tear my stories up. I don't know why I tear yours up. I'm sorry, Tibbs. I love you.
And on that note, as you can tell, we have a special guest, Thomas Gleaton from the TrojanWall, in to talk with us about the Troy Trojans and apparently God only knows what else.
I mean, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah,
Let's get it.
Goes. I just want to say, we're non-video. Sorry, Tibbs. I just want to say, guy shows up, 2022 Sunbelt Champions hat, Troy polo. I mean, come on. I
live for it. I die for it. And I'm a little crazy after the last 3 weeks, but I think we're back. We might be back. We're not back, but we're back.
You might be back. I might agree with you there.
And that's the first question I have for you there, Thomas. You look at these last 2 games. All right, take out who you're playing and the emotions of it being South Alabama and then Texas State. But really being able to persevere, knowing that this team coming into the year was number 5 and picked in the West. There was no first team all conference performers. So this should be like it's Jared Parker's second year. Maybe he'll be okay. But he's sitting at 4-2, 2-0 in conference with 2 amazing overtime victories. Is the heart okay, first of all, for you? And second of all, is this just as much a surprise to Troy fans as it is to the rest of us?
First, to answer your question, no, I've got a bottle of Rolaids on me at all times. So at this point, I'm pretty sure it's prescribed. Like I literally, after the Buffalo game, wrote something for the wall because it's 25th season at the FBS level for Troy, and we're just going through a bunch of stuff. And this is important, and this is a long list of these are important things that we're cataloging. And one of them was comebacks, and like true comebacks, Troy doesn't really have a lot of them for the most part. It's kind of you get ahead and then you just keep them at bay, and that's what I learned in doing that research. And so to see the Buffalo one, it scored really high just of how much of a comeback it was. I was sitting there 17-0. Like, if we at least make this close, I think I'll be all right. But then Troy ended up winning. And I was like, okay, that's fantastic. It reminded me of not only the Arkansas State game last year, but the Georgia Southern game last year under Jared, where you just felt the vibe that this team doesn't quit. And that's just kind of what the identity has become for this team, not only just across the board, but like in individual games now, you're starting to see that. South Alabama was another situation. It wasn't a comeback. It was another one where you stayed ahead and you kept them at bay, but you didn't do too well because you ended up in overtime. But then that defense still stood stout and kept them out of the end zone in first overtime. So it's just, it is really the grit and determination of this team has really shown the last 3 weeks. And then that's just become the identity of this team. That has become the expectation. That was the expectation back then. I just didn't think that we would literally be going back to back to back to back, watching them, literally claw back from laying down on the mat to winning this thing. Especially, I'm going to be honest, 28-7. I was like, this is it. The Magic's run out. And I just kept watching, and the defense did its thing. The offense did its thing. Tucker Kilcrease turned into Caleb Barker 2.0, and we had one of probably the greatest comebacks, one of the greatest games I've ever watched as a Troy fan. So it's a little bit of everything, and I hate to be tactful about it. We know this team is never going away. You cannot count them out. But just to see it happen over and over and over again, I think that anybody who was not on the fence for Troy at this point, if you're kind of like, Jared, it's his second year, man, whatever, maybe we should start looking elsewhere kind of thing. I think at this point, if you were even considering that, you've thrown that out. You're on board. This is the team. It doesn't matter what else happens, just the heart that this team has showed. That's Troy. That's how Troy operates, and that's the identity this team has, and we're all here for it.
Yeah, you go up. It was 16-0 against Clemson at half, right? Am I wrong with that?
No, you're correct.
You lose that game, which I'm sure was heartbreaking. Preseason, I'm on record, okay, and I'm sorry, Thomas, I'm going to say it to your face. I'm on record saying Troy sucks. Good. And then they ended up being, 4-2, definitely could be 5-1 just as easily. You keep a Memphis game really close for the most part, or close to a ULM fan, I should say. But I want to know about this quarterback room. You've got Goose Crowder. You've got Kilcrease. Both of them seem to be very, very good. Kilcrease lighting it up right now. You're a passing offense. I mean, what's happened there in that quarterback room?
So you tell me, we'll both know. I can tell you that from the get-go, though, Goose was the guy coming in both these 2 years under Jared. He was the guy. And then both seasons, game 2 against Memphis, same opponent. He goes down with an injury, and that's it, next guy up. And that's what ended up happening both times. It was really tough to watch that Memphis loss because it didn't feel like the offense was making any headway. And if I'm being honest, I lost a little faith just because I was like, they got to figure it out. And I know the next game against Buffalo, I was absolutely like, listen, we've got more people in that room. Get them out there, see what happens, just make something happen. It's early in the season. We can still claw our way out of it. And just to see something snap in Tucker in the Buffalo game. I don't know if it was, Uiale, the transfer from Houston, getting a couple reps and actually making headway with his first 3 snaps in the Troy uniform. Or if it was Tucker just, I don't know, maybe he Jimmy Neutron brain blasted and just like everything clicked for him. This guy balled out against Texas State in a way that we literally had not seen again since Caleb Barker. We had not seen that in South Alabama since Caleb Barker, just running the ball and throwing the ball, being that dual threat guy that he was supposed to be. And I don't know if that's preparation or if that's just him committing to it, but to see Tucker go from, again, admittedly being like, should we be looking at other options? 2, one of the like Davey O'Brien 8 of the 8 best quarterbacks of the week nominee or whatever it was that's on Twitter out there. It's insane. And that reminds me a way of Gunnar Watson too, because it's kind of been that same story of this guy that comes in that's got this like hype, and maybe he wasn't quite getting it, but all of a sudden flip the switch and you go from 5-win seasons to the Sun Belt Championship MVP. It's good coaching is the one similarity between the two stories that I've seen, and so that's got to be what it is that you're both coaches understanding what the quarterback can and cannot do, tailoring everything around him, and making not only that game plan work there, but making it work against the team you've got. And that's just good coaching. So it's a combination. Again, it's such a cop-out answer, but something clicked with him and something clicked with these coaches, and they're making decisions and making plays that did not work against Memphis. Maybe just because Memphis is good. They're very good, but he turned it on. And I think that's been a big, big reason that Troy has not won in 5. It's obvious that is the case.
Tucker had 5 TDs, 415 yards last game. Key target, though, DJ Epps with 10 receptions, 148 yards, 2 touchdowns. Is that the new go-to guy, or was that the plan all along and it just finally, again, started clicking midway through the season there against Texas State?
Well, that's the thing is that, like, I feel like I say this a lot, is that Troy has had some surprisingly deep wide receiver rooms going back to Neil Brown. I've talked about that before, but it might just be the concepts that worked, because the Dinkin and Duncan against Texas State is what got them through. But you saw in the Clemson game, he wasn't the one that scored. It was Trey Taylor that scored that first touchdown on the deep ball with Goose Crowder. Rara Thomas has been the guy that everybody talked about preseason. Roman Mothershed is a guy that's like kind of come up on everybody else's radar. Troy fans kind of knew about him, but I don't think he is the guy, because there are so many guys in that room. And playing just like you do with the quarterback, you go with the hot hand. If you got a guy in a slot that's beating linebackers left and right, that's what you go with. If you got a deep ball guy that is burning safeties left and right, then you go with it. And I think DJ Epps, first of all, made some incredible catches. Going back and rewatching just that fourth quarter comeback, I sat there live saying, how the hell did he catch that? How on God's green earth did he come down with that ball? And that's on him. But looking at all these other guys that I see on the field that I just named, and some of the other guys that are in the 2 deeps, I feel like they could step up and be that kind of person if needed to be. It's just that ended up being who it was. And, you ride the hot hand.
So you're passing the ball well. You're running the ball well. You've got the number 3 and 4 leading tacklers in the Sun Belt. Where's the chinks in the armor? Like what's the cons about this team? Like where are you bad?
Do you think I'm gonna tell you? No, actually I will. No, it seems that this at first it seemed, again, going back to the Buffalo game, because you've got obvious examples in all 3 of the last 3 games of the offense just stalling out. And whether that's Tucker, overthrowing the ball, throwing it behind a guy, just not being on target, whether that's the offensive line breaking down and letting too much pressure get to him, whether that's the run game's pretty solid, I feel like, from what I've seen, just because it's not the defining trait of this team like it was with John Summerall. But it just – I probably would circle the offensive line there, because if you go to the Texas State game, there was something where of the 5 starting linemen on offense, only one of them played the entire game, just because whether it be cramps, whether it be injuries, whatever, but swapping in and out. I feel like that's been kind of the biggest thing for me when looking at data from, other people on Twitter and looking back through it, is that when the pressure gets to Tucker, that's when he has to really get out of his comfort zone. And he's done that successfully the last couple games more than he had in the past. And that's the change there too. But the offense, if there is going to be a solid enough defense to just get pressure and get past this offensive line every single game, that could possibly do it. Just because we have seen defenses do that successfully in the first couple quarters. But it's like as the game goes on, you figure out your weaknesses, you figure out what you're going up against, and so you're able to adjust to that more. It's just that it's all, I don't know if it's mental. I don't know if it's these guys. It can't be physical because this offensive line is pretty big. It measured up to Clemson's. But it's just, if there's something that goes against this team, it's going to be the offense getting stuck in the mud. You saw that against Memphis. You saw that where a good Memphis defense just squandered, knocked the ball down, stuffed them at the line, just figure out ways to really get to the quarterback and get to the ball. But I think that's the biggest thing to me. Do what?
I said an undefeated Memphis team, but yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, in taking stock in everything, a Power 5 comeback and one of the best Group of 5 teams in the country doing what they did, I honestly can't be mad with the results. But you're right. That's it. Is everything else has worked. The defense was spectacular. The defense held Memphis to 28 points. Like, let's be real. Keeping them under 30 is a feat in and of itself. Arkansas couldn't do that. The special teams, we could talk all day about Patty McAteer, about Evan Crenshaw, the punter, about the return guys. But I would have to circle it in that getting in Tucker's head, getting past that O-line, that if there's a weakness, it's in that spot.
You mentioned offensive line, and I immediately think of Eli Russ. I give Adam Prendergast so much grief that he lists Eli at only 6'4", 300. The guy's at least 9, maybe 12 feet tall, and pushing, a metric
strong as a
ton.
barge. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the nicest guy you'll ever meet, Chase. If you're ever needing a partner for the wing eating competition, that's your guy.
Are we shouting out offensive linemen here? Because I'm not the one doing it. I'm stoked. From Ardmore, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
All the way to Troy, Alabama. That's pretty cool.
Listen, I just brought up Patty McAteer. He's a dude from Ireland. Troy has, for the decade that I've kept up with them and paid attention to them, the transfer portal, even before NIL, was Troy's bread and butter. Bringing in guys that maybe didn't fit somewhere else, maybe didn't get a chance somewhere else, maybe couldn't compete somewhere else. But going back to even the late days of Larry Blakeney, I specifically remember that being something where you go find guys that fit you, that fit your system, that fit who you are. Troy's got what it is. It's got that heart, that grit. Troy's got that. We try to be this, just not even like, even in athletics, there's this idea of what we are. Might be a little culty in hindsight, but the idea is that, like, when you go to Troy, you're getting, like, you want to learn, but I don't know. I guess I'm just peddling the college's propaganda at this point, but I always viewed it as like, you can be a better person that way. And that's just the kind of things that we look for.
I always viewed it as a place that's hard to get to, that has like the color scheme. I've never understood it. And then I learned DeMarcus Ware went there. And I'm a huge Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Then I was always a fan of Troy and learned who they were. But, okay, if you look back, right, during your time as a fan and your time talking about them, has it just been good coaching hires? Has it been good leadership? I mean, you've had your down years for a few years, and then you're back up as Sun Belt champions and continuing to push that envelope. What, in your opinion, has led to the success of that athletic department?
Well, it feels like a little bit of that, and the coaching hires that you talk about, because Larry Blakeney is really the standard setter for what this is. Not only did he, take Troy from the Division II level to the FBS level, he was successful He really didn't coach at the D2 level. That he led them. He was hired before the shift, so he counts. But and it was a transition year, his first year. But in the 90s, he took a Division II powerhouse and turned it into an FCS perennial postseason player. He took Troy and moved him up to FBS in 2001. We're celebrating the 25th season I mentioned, and brought success there too with 5 straight Sun Belt titles. He laid the groundwork with who he was and the way he did things. And going back to that well and looking at who he was is how we got Neil Brown. And so it feels that this it feels like it is the program. And like I said, you know who you've got. I posted a picture the other day, and I did this on purpose. When you see it was the caption, a picture of Neil Brown yelling at a ref, and the ref just like brushing him off. I posted it was also a picture of John Sumrall, that one game where he got fired up and we had the get back coach pulling him back on the sideline just because he was so pissed off. And then Saturday night after the Texas State game, one of my favorite moments of Jared just being Jared in the post-game video, dude caught the camera and just gave it a shout that he loved. And that passion, not only for the game, but for the program, is what matters. And this is where I get to talk about Chip Lindsey. He just didn't seem to have passion. You go and watch games on the sidelines. You go back and watch. You don't have to. Don't torture yourself. But for the people who did have to watch them every week, it never felt right. It definitely felt like he was just there. He was there to coach, and maybe it was a stepping stone for him. Maybe he was just trying to figure out whether he was good. He wanted to be a coach or not, but he never really changed his face. And maybe he was trying to be a poker face thing. I don't know. I've given up trying to figure him out, but he never got excited. He was not as engaged as the other 3 coaches were. He didn't have a Kentucky degree, which is strange, but also all 3, Neil Brown, John Sumrall, and Jared Parker. But that was a joke, but it's beside the point. You know when you meet these guys and the energy they bring, when they bring a certain vibe and a certain energy, that is what made those decisions. And I think that is at the core of what has made this program successful, because that was also Larry Blakeney in his prime. He loved not just the team and the program and coaching, but he loved Troy too. And that's a passion that I see in the three coaches that I think Troy can really get behind in the post Blakeney era.
So we've had DeMarcus Ware mentioned, Larry Blakeney mentioned, both in the College Hall of Fame, but Larry Blakeney going in this year. How big is that? And do most Troy fans this day and age get how great and how special of a coach he was?
I think the fact that, he still makes appearances, he's still a presence around the program, you definitely do. And I think that goes a long way with a lot of things too, because you look at being somebody who was in the music program, in the music department, the band program, it was very clear that the guys that led that program, God forbid, I'm gonna get reamed for not remembering the guy who started Sound of the South. But the point is that you remember those guys as they were the ones who paved the way. Don Maestri with Troy basketball, his 100, 200 point games paved the way. And so you do get a sense of the history, because just because it was a small school doesn't mean there wasn't history there. This is a program that's been around forever. It's not like very many other programs in the country because it started at D2 and worked its way up. But there are tributes to it everywhere. And I would say that there's definitely Larry Blakeney is probably the biggest example of somebody whose shadow looms and will forever loom over the university. And I think it's going to be clear that everybody's going to get why he was the guy. He is who he is.
Looking around the Sun Belt Conference, we're at the midway point of the season. Who's been your biggest surprise and disappointment so far?
It's weird to say Old Dominion because there were a lot of people. There were people that were like, "Hey, this is them." I think the truth is, honestly, Southern Miss kind of surprises me a little bit. Not that Charles Huff isn't a good coach, but it takes time. Like John Summerall is an exception. I completely understand that. It takes time to be good, but you do have Southern Miss as a 2-0 right now. And halfway through the season, they're tied with Troy atop the Western standings. I know Charles Huff is a good coach, but that kind of surprises me personally. As far as disappointments go, I feel like it has to be Georgia State. Like it just ULM is. I mean, they're solid. Brian Vincent's a solid guy. It's still kind of not a figure it out situation, but we've seen obvious growth there. Texas State, obvious some sort of growth. Even they may be where they are, but they're still a bowl game for them is better than historically has been. But Georgia State just kind of seeping back to the bottom with a very similar situation where it was a big time head coaching guy that was supposed to be a splash, and just don't feel like they're getting anywhere right now. Really, maybe they have a situation where it takes a year to get them going, but I'd have to go with Georgia State.
Yeah, I think on your Southern Miss, the Southern Miss Thundering Herd, I think definitely, my radio group was really big on them, and Braylon Braxton's such a dog, and I think the Sun Belt is a little weaker than what I think we all expected it to be this year. And then, I know the transfer portal really, really screwed us over, but as we look through teams like Arkansas State's usually a lot more competitive than what we've seen them be this year. And it just seems like Troy has stepped in to kind of like, I know it's still early, but it seems like Troy's the team now that's like, Lafayette struggling, all those schools, right? That Troy stepped in to really be that, what we think might at least go for that title.
And that's what it kind of feels like right now is that I made a bunch of Thanos I'm inevitable jokes on Twitter, but it is that it feels like to make the comparison to Neil Brown again, it just feels like in 2016, not that there was a gap or an opening necessarily because you had Arkansas State and App State being competitive for the top there, but it felt like there was some sort of vacuum that they were able to push forward and push through. You're right. This feels like an even bigger, more obvious vacuum because apart from James Madison, Old Dominion, after last weekend, that's kind of it. That kind of feels like those are the top two teams, and that's all right, cool. Who's next? And you're right. It ends up becoming, I think, just by default, is who's finishing, who's really like not just getting it done. They're finding ways to win no matter the cost. And that's going to be at the end of the season, I think, what makes the difference between all these other teams. I'm proud that Troy right now is the most obvious example of it. But the joke that defense wins championships, it's not just about like, you want to really pep that part of the game up. It's that when you are winning, when you are trying to score, it is imperative to prevent the other team from scoring. I feel like Yogi Berra at this point, but finding ways to get it done means executing. It means executing there. It means stopping whatever's thrown your way and handling it. And that's just the key to, I'm talking in sound bites now at this point, but it's just the key to getting it done and winning. And at the end of the day, the team that finds more ways to win is going to be the one at the top, regardless of how the rest of the year looks.
Special teams win games, by the way. But what, Chase? What did I say?
Special teams loses games. Special teams doesn't win games.
If you would have not missed that block and I didn't have to make a 42-yard field goal, if you weren't called for a holding penalty and I have to kick from my own end zone,
Well, good thing for you is I was never on punt team, bud. I just had 3 false starts on field goal team. So
you're
I
the
don't want to
reason
hear.
that they were
Justin Manton.
inside.
I gave Justin Manton a 61-yarder. Okay, you're welcome. All time ULM leading, longest kick ever. Don't worry about it. You're welcome, Justin.
You set them up for that, and I appreciate you setting your teammates up for success in that way. That's a real team player of you.
Shut up, Thomas. This isn't. It's not. Best team sucks. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this narrative. I hate it. Go to the NFL kickoff and then get a little more exciting.
I agree. I actually agree. I know this isn't necessarily where this was supposed to go, but I agree. I love the NFL's new kickoff just because it feels more like an actual play.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. 100%.
Thomas, we got a new kid on the block coming in next year. I haven't really heard anything from the Troy fans. What are your thoughts there on the Rustonites coming into the league?
So I don't know, because personally, I feel like my opinion might be different than other people's, and that's fine. I personally would have preferred a team that was more connective to the other half of the league. I personally vouched for Western Kentucky as opposed to Louisiana Tech. I understand why Louisiana Tech was added, because it's closer than Texas State. It's more drivable for La Monroe and Louisiana and even Arkansas State. It adds a team that's already got built-in hate with Southern Miss and Marshall, and so I understand that, but at the end of the day, I'm like, that doesn't move the needle for me. We had an opportunity as a conference to make a splash and really push forward. No offense to Louisiana Tech, or all offense, I don't care.
No, all offense, full offense.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
absolutely, all offense.
Absolutely.
They suck.
Trash
no,
school. Yeah.
But I mean, that just didn't move the needle for me. It's not a situation where Troy, Sunbelt didn't have to look at an FCS squad. As a conference, we didn't have to go like scooping down to find the next James Madison or App State. We had an opportunity as a conference to step up, to move up. Memphis probably wasn't coming. They wanted to go to the Big 12. I get that. You weren't going to get an American team to pull them away like Tulane or something. But I think pulling a Conference USA team we did, but pulling somebody that had more renown, had more, I guess success is the best way to put it.
Yeah, especially
just
recent success. I understand.
Right, would have just moved the needle for me. And Louisiana Tech, I think, has like one sport. I think it might be baseball where they were good, or basketball, one of the two. But to me, it was
baseball,
like, okay,
very good at baseball.
Right. And I get that as a baseball league, you want to build up that brand. That's fine. But also, we need to build up the basketball brand too. Western Kentucky can do both, baseball and basketball. Again, I'm vouching for something that's already passed, that's already missed up the opportunity. But I just didn't. I wasn't impressed. And I mean, it's a safe pick, and I wish that we had an opportunity as a conference to go bigger, and we just didn't.
So Commissioner Gill stepping down. You're now the Sun Belt commissioner. Who are you picking then for 15-16 to take us to the Super League?
Okay, so I mean, I've already made it clear that Western Kentucky is the move there in the West. My immediate step before I even get on the phone with Tyson Helton and the guys in Bowling Green, I'm calling East Carolina. I know it's an American college. I know it's an American conference school, but I'm getting them because not only do they have the baseball, they're just a bigger brand, and they fit better with Eastern teams. And that's, you go look on Twitter, that's what Eastern teams want. I agree with them. They're a distinct brand. They're kind of like Western Kentucky in that way. And they add recent success. They add a lot of opportunities. And I think they don't necessarily fill a gap that exists, but they seal up that Eastern side. And so then I would call Western Kentucky. If Eastern Carolina says no, which might happen, I would probably be willing to take Middle Tennessee back.
God,
But-
you had me up until that.
Ew, bro, what?
That's what I'm saying. I'm going all out for Eastern Carolina, dude. Like, if you want to stop at 15, we can stop at 15 and just take Western Kentucky. I'm fine with that too. But Eastern Carolina number 1, Western Kentucky number 2, and then it gets a little.
I don't have a better answer for you, but not Middle
Yeah.
Tennessee. They're
Not
so-
Middle Tennessee, but East Carolina. Yeah, I you had me all over that because even a bad East Carolina insert sport is still well supported. They're a good team though across the board, and everyone hates them to where it's going to have a lot of eyes and a lot of fans engaging those games and those contests.
Yeah, Louisiana Tech's only a heel for like 3 teams. Eastern Carolina, everybody's gonna hate Eastern Carolina.
Yeah, and it's not that everybody doesn't hate Louisiana Tech. Everybody just doesn't like Louisiana Tech. That's one thing. It would be a rivalry, a fun hate that exists within the fun belt with Eastern Carolina. You don't have people that are just like, oh, we got to go play the Dogs now, as opposed to, oh, we got to play the Pirates. Oh, that's going to be fun. Because they have that same vibe, they have that same fun vibe energy that I'm going to give it to them. Coastal has it. Coastal is a different brand. There's something different. Western Kentucky has that. There's something different. And they've got the success too. But no, I get it. That's why I gritted my teeth.
Let me tell you this. I've seen games before at Coastal, Brooks Stadium. Nice stadium, by the way. The teal that you see on a TV game does not do it justice that it is a teal field that they have.
It's hideous on TV.
It's not bad.
Let me see that.
I like it.
No.
Let me see that.
Well, what you could see last week from the monsoon that was going on in the cameras, it looked ugly.
But that's the thing is, I feel like, if you're gonna do an off-green, a non-color, a weird color for a field, keeping it close to green is not a bad move. Because honestly, if I'm Marshall, I'm like, I want my grass to be the exact same color green. I don't want this just regular grass. I want that to be Marshall green. Like if you're, Eastern Michigan's weird. They do the silver stripes, don't they? They're weird. But if you're
Eastern Michigan is the red field or the crimson field. Eastern Washington Michigan has the concrete parking lot looking field.
Yeah, that's it. They're gray. It's all gray. I was thinking of Central Arkansas with the stripes, but
yes.
Yeah, no. Like that's my thing. Is that like I like it, but the closer you are to like normal grass color, the better. Like Boise's got blue, fine. That's fine. It's their thing. They've got it. Let them have it. But everywhere else, you got to do as close to green as possible. You can't be doing. I don't want to see orange at Virginia Tech. I don't want to see Lane Stadium orange. I don't want to see the swamp orange. It's just keep it close to green, and we're good. It looks cooler that way anyway.
Well, here's some insider baseball, Thomas. Is that at one point ULM almost had a camo field. We got our Duck Dynasty roots, right?
Yeah,
it was real close to camo field. And then I've heard the numbers of how much that costed, and it was a disgusting amount for us to spend on a field with the other facilities that we have.
But listen, those uniforms with that field would have been so hideous. I think you would have owned college football social media for a decade.
Are you referring to our 2014 camos?
Absolutely.
Masio camos?
Listen,
hey, don't make me pull out of the closet, Thomas.
Do it. I want to see it.
Those things, man.
They're awful, but I love them. And I'm kind of like that too. I've got one of our blackout uniforms from 2013 where most of the fan base hates them just because I guess we lost. But no, I love it too. I love like off the wall stuff like that. Within reason. It can be ugly too.
Thomas, can't thank you enough for stopping by, chopping it up with us, talk a little Troy, tell everybody where they can hear more about you.
So I'm on Twitter, X, whatever it's called these days, at TrojanWall, F as in Frank 5. It's a whole thing. But we're there. We're also on Facebook. And then we have our website is thetrojanwall.com. We've got talking about the 25 for 25 series. We've been doing one every week, and this week is a big one. Ben put together the top 25 players to wear the Cardinal silver and black, and that's going to be. There was so much to it. I had to break it up over 3 days. So the next 3 days on TrojanWall.com, on Facebook, and on X, whatever you call it, we're going to be rolling that out each day. So check out for that. But yeah, that's where you can find us. Ben's on there too. I'm on there on my personal as well. So, anywhere you're on social media, I can find you. Don't worry.
All-time record, ULM 8, Troy 9 wins all time. What is your prediction for Saturday?
So I like that record. That's great. I guess I didn't realize how close it was. My thing is Troy has only won in Monroe twice since 2001. I think if you include 2001, it's 3. But yeah, so it's not a great record. It is some spooky stuff. I'm not a big fan. I think if Troy had a rivalry, it would be with the stadium and not necessarily with ULM.
We get it.
But
the chief lives on.
I mean,
House of Pain, man. We get it.
Listen,
tough.
I don't think the magic runs out for Troy, but I think this is the game where Jared goes in there and is like, okay, cool. We've won. We need to win again. But this time, guys, can we start winning, stay winning, and not have to do a comeback this time? I think Troy wins it by 10, maybe 14 points. Just 1.5 to 2 scores. But I think I probably will need more Rolaids. I think I probably will need some heart medication by the time that one's over if I don't already have it, which, who knows. But if to give you numbers, 27-17. Let's go with that. Something like that. It's all right. It's going to be tough because I think, Troy, like I said, Troy's offense is the weakness there, and it's got to figure itself out other ways. But, no talent with the spookiness of Monroe.
Yeah. Tibbs, what are you thinking this weekend?
Yeah, I just have I got a hard time picking us right now. I'm a little down on it, so I'm going to go Troy. Squeaking it out though, 7 points.
Yeah, some numbers. What do you think, like 21-14?
I'm not getting into it. They're about a touchdown better, just like the spread says.
I think it's a 21-16 game. I don't know why I have us in our head scoring 16 points. We've had some question marks at kicker, and I think that might bite us once, and then maybe a field goal. I think we might just go for 2 twice. I don't know how it works out. 21-16, I think what's the spread? 6.5 right now?
Something like that.
So I think we will cover it very barely, but fortunately I think Troy's hot, and I think ULM's got a lot of questions to answer.
Last little bit of fun trivia, I think. 1973. Troy has dropped the nickname Red Wave because the coach that brought it in the 30s was an Alabama grad, and he wanted to be like that. He wanted to bring some Bama to Troy, and so he changed the name to the Red Wave, and they were like that until 1973. 1973, the players get on the bus and head to Monroe, and the students back home Saturday, they go out and they vote and they put tickets in and pick the new name for the mascot for the team. And overwhelmingly, everybody's like, it's Trojans. We're Troy State. Let's be the Trojans. It's so stupid. Let's just get it done. Why would we be the Red Wave? It's dumb. So Troy goes into Monroe, 1973. It was a 7-7 tie. And I wish I said we won. That would have been a much better story. But that's how Troy became the Trojans.
How fitting for 25 years of Sun Belt, 25 years of Troy being D1.
Oh yeah. And I'm just
glad we're a part of your history, man.
I am too, but God, that's probably why I'm so spooked out at the stadium now. It's a scary place.
Well, luckily for you, it hasn't changed since 1973. So
I appreciate your dedication to history. That's what we're saying here.
We like to preserve the past.